Good evening. Today I'll be exploring the impact of class struggle on the social identity and culture using two literary works, the film Parasite in 19 and made in 2019, directed by Bong Joon-ho, and the play A Streetcar Named Desire, made in 1947 by Tennessee Williams. These works use class conflicts as a lens to take a deeper dive into how social identity is shaped by class and how individuals and cultures grapple with this struggle and the shifting forces of economic inequality. Through these themes are portrayed through the Kim family in the film Parasite, and the complex dynamics between Stanley Kowalski and Blanche Dubois in A Streetcar Named Desire. In each of these pieces, we see that class struggle not only affects how individuals see themselves, but also how they are perceived by others and how cultural norms evolve throughout time. First, we'll be talking about the film Parasite and how it shows this theme. In Parasite, this theme of class struggle is at the heart of the story, and it's the main aspect of the story. In the film, the plot is centered around the Kim family, who live in a small, cramped basement apartment and are forced to work with the luxurious, wealthy Park family, who live in a high-tech, luxurious house. From the start, the Kim family are defined by their lower class status, and throughout the movie, they're trying to climb their way up out of this social status. The Kim's family identity is built around survival, and the survival that they survive by doing whatever it takes to infiltrate themselves into wealthy society through the Park family in order to essentially move themselves up from this low class status to higher than what they are. However, this attempt to put themselves at a higher social status leads to the conflict that occurs throughout the story. In the film, the Kims are aware of the very vast gap between them and the Park family, and their main struggle is to try and keep up this facade of wealth and luxury that they need to portray in order to keep their jobs and stay and portray this high social status to the Park family. Their efforts to try and adopt these identities of higher class peoples by pretending to be more educated, refined, and have all these luxurious things showcase the psychological stress of class struggle and the lengths not only the Kim family, but a lot of peoples in general, that a lot of things that they do to try and avoid the symbols of lower class. The film also portrays the impact on cultural perceptions that social status has. In the film, it also shows how class shapes cultural values and perceptions. For example, the Parks lifestyle represents like ideal, luxury, wealthy, and they in excess as well. However, when the Kims infiltrate this world, they bring their values and culture of the lower class as they try and survive and adapt through this change of social mobility. The tension between these two families, the gap between their social culture and classes, only reflects a cultural divide between the two classes. And the film ultimately critiques the illusion of upward mobility, showing how oftentimes many class divisions remain insurmountable regardless of effort or appearance. The next literary work that shows this is A Streetcar Named Desire, which mainly portrays the collapse of the Southern aristocracy. In Tennessee Williams' A Streetcar Named Desire, the main driving force of the play is the conflicts between Blanche Dubois and Stanley Kowalski, who essentially encapsulate this the theme of class struggle throughout the film, as Blanche comes from a more wealthy society where she grew up in this she grew up very wealthy and accustomed to all and this culture, which is essentially the wealthy culture, while Stanley came from working class, still is working class. He was in the war. He was a soldier. He's very rough on the edges. He's very he has like a very blue collar mindset. And this conflict between the two cultures is the main driving force between these two. In the play, Blanche's whole identity itself is rooted in her past times of wealth and noble heritage, in which she had while Stanley represents a more modern industrialized world based on working, and this is clearly seen through the quote. You think you're better than me, don't you? Well, let me tell you something, Blanche, you're not. You're nothing but a woman who's old news now. Nobody cares about your Southern aristocracy. The world doesn't work like that anymore. This specific moment illustrates how class struggle functions as a mechanism that forces individuals to recognize the differences in culture and social status between the two classes, and it ultimately leads them to recognize the limitations of their own identity. Blanche's identity is founded on wealth and status, while Stanley relentlessly erodes this identity by exposing her to her past, in which she doesn't display these ideals, and she's not as perfect as she may seem. On the other hand, Stanley's worldview is more grounded in reality, in which he represents a cultural shift towards the working class, and not these ideals of luxury, and also ultimately this rich culture that has no relation to him. His criticism of Blanche's past shows how class struggle is tied to culture. For Stanley, the old Blanche's way of thinking, the old Southern aristocracy, is out of touch and no longer relevant with the present, especially since Blanche is no longer in this wealth, no longer has this social status. So, in his mind, she should no longer have this higher sense of culture. In conclusion, both Parasite and Streetcar Named Desire reveal that class struggle plays a critical role in shaping individual social identities. In Parasite, the Kim's ability to manipulate their class identity reflects more of a survival instinct that arises from poverty, but it also underscores the limitations of social mobility. Similarly, in A Streetcar Named Desire, Blanche's struggle to preserve her old identity of rich and high fashion only leads to her demise, as her attempts to uphold this facade, similar to the Kim's family, leads to the downfall of her, and in Parasite leads to the downfall of some of the members of the Kim family. Overall, both texts showcase how class struggle affects cultural norms. In Parasite, we see that the cultural divide between the two families symbolize a wider societal divide based on access to money, resources, education, food, essentially ways of moving upward in terms of social status. While in The Streetcar Named Desire, the clash between Blanche's old world views and Stanley's working class views reflect a broader cultural shift in World War II post-America, which is when the play takes place, where the ideals of the American dream are questioned and redefined.